Hello, good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight. Thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. I'm Roger Johnson and here's our top story. 82 miles an hour winds and homes without power. Isha batters this region and another storm is on the way, as we've just been hearing. But we'll also talk to the Cumbria football team, which is stranded on the Isle of Man. Also tonight, bailing out his school. This head teacher says his pupils are often up to their ankles in sewage.
It is unacceptable and shameful that children have to learn in conditions like this.
Blackburn Blues. We're at Ewood Park, where Rovers are on the rack.
It's embarrassing to watch. Like, I hope they do better today.
You know, we've been to every single game. You're suffering.
Coming in from the cold, we've got the story of the lost snake which slithered into Karen's living room.
And as one storm passes, the next arrives. Storm Jocelyn arriving through tomorrow. The worst of the winds tomorrow night. Join me at the end of the programme. I'll give you all the details.
Well, Storm Isha battered the northwest last night, leaving thousands of people without power and causing widespread disruption. Passengers ended up at the wrong airports. Others are still stranded miles from home. The storm led to a major incident being declared in Cumbria, but the bad news is that another storm, Jocelyn, is due to hit us tomorrow afternoon. Here's our environment correspondent, Judy Hobson.
Lancashire and Cumbria bore the brunt of Storm Isha. Here in Blackpool, gales of up to 62 miles per hour were recorded. Thousands of properties were left without power. Despite the best efforts of engineers, some might not be back on until tomorrow or even Wednesday.
Bearing in mind it's been dangerous conditions for our teams to work in, so while that wind is still blowing at high rates of 40 or 50 miles an hour, it makes it very difficult for our teams to get out, so we have to wait for that to happen. And then as soon as we're safe to, we get out and fix the faults for customers.
In some parts of Cumbria, flood sirens prompted residents to do what they could to protect their homes.
Sandbagging, getting our flood barriers up, putting our furniture on tables so it's all waterproof.
We are not sleeping tonight. We are concerned, not sleeping, very scary.
Travel was severely disrupted. This map shows how a flight from Manchester to Dublin landed in Liverpool this morning. Others went even further afield. One flight from Manchester to Stansted was diverted to Budapest, a mere 900 miles away. And ferries to and from the Isle of Man were going nowhere. Kendal FC played a match on the Isle of Man on Saturday. Fans and the team haven't been able to get home.
None of the players are professional. You know, they've all got day jobs, they've all got wives, children that they've left to be here. All the club's officials, we're all volunteers. We have jobs, we have responsibilities at home, and the same for all our supporters. And you know, it's come at great expense, and then we've got people hoping that the ferry sails tonight. I'm booked on the ferry tomorrow morning, but we're still going to have some fans that are going to be left here.
It's cost me nearly £500 because I've got my son here, my daughter-in-law and my grandson, and it's costing me when I get back another £200 to get them because they live in North Wales.
I've got appointments tomorrow and I've had to cancel them and things like that. And work, they said, oh, well, hopefully you'll be back in on Wednesday at the earliest. So we're just sort of riding it out. I've just been looking at the dock to see where the ferry is, been tracking it all morning. So fingers crossed.
It's unclear when they'll get home, with more gales forecast tomorrow. Storm Jocelyn's due to land early afternoon, bringing a yellow weather warning for the whole region. But hopefully things will feel calmer by Wednesday. Judy Hobson, BBC North West Tonight.
Judy with an audition for Kay's job there. That was the potted forecast, but Kay will put all the meat on the bone. She's got the full detail for us at the end of the programme, so it's something you won't want to miss. Now, a school in Greater Manchester is waiting for building repairs to stop the classrooms from being flooded with sewage almost a decade after its problems started. Russell Scott Primary School's issues began 9 years ago with botched rebuilding work, and promises to build a new school haven't yet been kept. So a BBC Panorama investigation has found that many other schools across the country are unfit for purpose, as Davinia Ramos reports.
Imagine if your children went to school in a building like this. Rain leaking into the corridors, water damage to the ceilings and sewage coming up through the drains. All issues this head teacher is dealing with.
We've had such a lot to contend with from 2015 up until now. We've got sewage coming up through floors, the roofs leak, the drains don't work. When the school floods with rainwater, we have to close.
Mr Marsland regularly empties buckets of water each time it rains. The building's been plagued with issues since construction company Carillion carried out repairs back in 2015. And for some pupils, it's all they've ever known.
I come to Breakfast Club in the morning and in the hall there's a massive crack in the ceiling and it just literally drips all the time and you can't really do much.
When you're like lining up and things, there'll be like buckets in the way. It comes to normality.
Carillion went bust in 2018 with huge debts. The school needs to be knocked down and completely rebuilt, which will cost millions. Mr Marsland was told that would happen in 2022, but delays to the government's school rebuilding programme mean he's still waiting, and parents are worried.
A place which has been flooded with toilet water isn't somewhere you want to be sending your children. The staff here want to do a good job, but then on the other hand, they haven't got the equipment or building to do that.
It's just unfair on them. They'll come home and they'll say, oh, we're getting a new school, we're getting this and we're getting that. And then, 2 years later, we're still no further on at all.
It's ridiculous, really. I'm a grandparent, actually. I've had ties to this school for 40 plus years. The building, obviously, it's not fit for purpose.
In a statement, the Department for Education said pupil and staff safety was paramount and added the school would have a detailed programme plan by the end of this month. But in the meantime, the site's been closed several times because of ongoing safety issues.
It is unacceptable and shameful that children have to learn in conditions like this. Until I see a digger out on that field, I won't believe anybody.
Mr Marsland says he won't back down until a new school is built.
I won't be going anywhere until we get a new school, as has been promised, because this school community of ours deserves better than this.
Davinia Ramos, BBC North West Tonight, Denton.
There's more of that on Panorama this evening. It's here on BBC One at 8 o'clock, or you can catch up anytime, of course, on the BBC iPlayer. It was 8 o'clock. I checked on the listings while the report was on, not 8:30. Now, a fundraising campaign launched in memory of a 14-year-old boy who drowned has reached over £40,000. Luke Howe's body was recovered from the River Bollin after he went missing at Hale in Greater Manchester on Thursday. Luke, who had learning disabilities, left home during freezing conditions. His family say that they will use the money to do something positive as a tribute to him. 2 people had to be rescued from Hart Crag near Ambleside in the Lake District at the height of Storm Isha. About 20 mountain rescue volunteers, 2 RAF teams and the Coast Guard braved the horrendous conditions. Mountain rescue teams said that the high fells were a no-go area in such conditions. Testing will take place tomorrow on the new flood sensors, signage and barriers on Queen's Drive at Mossley Hill in Liverpool. Part of the road's been closed since August, when Elaine and Philip Marco died after being trapped in floodwater under a railway bridge. After the testing, the council will decide when the road can reopen. Now, 4 men have been found guilty of violent disorder after trouble flared at the Suites Hotel in Kirby in Merseyside last February. It was being used, I'm sure you remember, to house asylum seekers. Well, Liverpool Crown Court heard that ill feeling grew after a video on social media appeared to show one of the hotel residents asking a local girl for her phone number and for a kiss. Andy Gill's in Kirby at the Suites Hotel for us live tonight. So, Andy, tell us, first of all, more about what these men were accused of.
Well, they're accused of taking part in the trouble that flared on a Friday night in February at this hotel back in February. The groups from the right and left of politics had gathered here, and then a group of mainly local people arrived as well. And the court was shown a lot of police video of what happened. Rocks and fireworks thrown at police, 3 officers injured, 1 needed hospital treatment, a police carrier set on fire and burnt out. There was no evidence that the 4 men convicted today were part of a right-wing group, and their defence had said that they were angry not at the asylum seekers' nationality criminality, but at their alleged behaviour. However, one of the men convicted, Thomas Mills, had a banner saying, "Let's shout, get them out." Another, Brian McPadden, was seen on police video shouting, "We protect our own, yous are not from Kirby, we are." The other men convicted today, John Joe O'Donoghue and Paul Lafferty, all of them have addresses in Kirby.
So Andy, tell us more about what happened in court today.
Well, they'd all denied violent disorder, but they were convicted unanimously by the jury. A fifth man, Daniel Fulham, was cleared of all the charges that he faced. Thomas Mills collapsed in the dock. He was taken to hospital. There was swearing and tears in the public gallery. These convictions follow 5 other men who admitted violent behaviour at earlier hearings. All 9 will be sentenced in March, and the judge has said the likelihood is there'll be sentences of immediate custody. Roger.
Andy, thank you very much. Andy Gill. Now, thousands of jobs are being created in the northwest to build the next generation of nuclear submarines at Barrow-in-Furness. It's after a major international deal between the UK, the US and Australia, the AUKUS Pact, but it means that thousands of new homes need to be built in the town, where house prices and rents are already rocketing, as Phil McCann reports.
Some of the world's most powerful men unveiling plans for one of the world's most powerful submarines last year, being developed for the British and Australian Royal Navies and built in Barrow. The deal is the main reason 5,000 people are being recruited to join the 12,000 who work building submarines at BAE Systems in Barrow.
I mean, it's a once-in-a-generational opportunity, to transform Barrow.
So the firm wants to train up as many local people as possible, like Olivia. She's 17, she's in the second year of her apprenticeship.
There's lots of job security, and you know that you're going to have a job for a long time if you get in, and it's going to be a good job.
There's also an effort to stop so many young people having to leave Barrow to go to university. So a campus is being built next to BAE. It's for people like Connor, an engineering degree apprentice.
Did you grow up with a lot of people who kind of basically couldn't wait to leave Barrow when they were out of school?
I know kind of a lot of my friends doing the same as me. They work here as well. But on the other hand, there is a lot that, can't wait to go to university, move away.
We're confident that, and it will take time, more and more individuals will see just what Barrow has to offer and the enhancements that are being made through partnership working.
Are you happy with that, or does it want to go back a little bit?
But BAE says it can't get all the new recruits it needs from Barrow. So people are moving into town, like Cabway, who's from Preston.
I started looking into them, everything that they do, and I was just interested. I thought, yeah, that's a company I'd love to work for.
More people like Cabway coming to Barrow, of course, means they need more places to live.
We know that in the last 10 years there's only, I think it's about 900 houses that have been built in the local area. Our estimates tell us it needs to be approximately that per year to accommodate for the future growth that we see. So, yeah, huge challenge ahead of us.
I'm from Barrow. I was actually born a couple of streets away. Warmest community in the world.
And those who know this town know the lack of housing is already having an impact.
Rents and house prices are increasing, which makes it really difficult for local people on low incomes.
Lots of houses and some pubs like this are being turned into houses of multiple occupation, fitting more people in. Jane is part of a task force that's working with BAE and the council.
The plans are definitely there. As with all these things, it's just about how quickly it can happen.
Hi, so welcome to Barrow Food Bank.
And here they see the impact of those rising rents.
Well, where people were managing with their budget, they're now not able to do so because their rent has gone from £400 a month to £600 a month, and that £200 perhaps was what they were spending on food.
But here they also see what BAE's expansion could do for this town.
Perhaps there is a problem with aspiration that goes along with that lack of self-esteem. Hopefully perhaps this development can do something about that.
Westmorland and Furness Council says it's keen to work with developers to build new houses, and it's using some government funding to do it. BAE is in a race to recruit. The rest of the town has to make sure it doesn't fall behind. Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight, Barrow.
Richard's here with the sport in just a moment, but from Barrow, just down the road to Lancaster, where the city's historic links to the slave trade have been explored in a new project involving school children in Sierra Leone. The children helped to create 3 sculptures called the Sophias inside Lancaster Priory. The church was targeted during the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, and it led them to take a fresh look at their controversial past, as Stuart Pollitt has been finding out.
This is Sophia Filene, and so is this, and this is her too. All three sculptures are based on Sophia, an 11-year-old slave girl baptised at Lancaster Priory in 1799.
People come in and they do ask the question, you know, why? And the minute that you say these are part of our journey in addressing the history that we have in connection with transatlantic slavery, people go, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And the whole city was benefiting from slavery. You know, you only have to look at the banks.
Lancaster was once the fourth biggest slave port in the country. In 2020, the Priory was targeted with graffiti about its links to the trade. They've deliberately kept it visible today.
I think it is really important that we are telling stories about the past. It's something that we want to acknowledge. We don't want to hide it. We want to be honest about it.
Zoom workshops with school children in Sierra Leone helped inspire the designs of the Sophias.
It was very exciting to me because I was able to be part of being past memory of Sophia.
We had 2 dance and movement workshops to ask the children who they thought Sophia might have been, what she would have been like. And that was all captured in photographs and then turned into cardboard sculptures that you can see behind me.
Staff from the Facing the Past Arts project have been involved with the Sophias and other initiatives across Lancaster.
We've been looking at improving the education of our primary and secondary school pupils. We've looked at improving the slavery walk. We've been looking at whether or not there should be permanent new monuments.
Research into the Priory's links to the slave trade revealed a register of 76 black Africans, many of whom were baptised in the church here. But unlike the slave traders whose names remain dotted around this city, there was no record of their lives and their impact until now.
So we've been able to discover a little bit more about some of those individuals and begin to understand something of their lives rather than just a name.
The Sophias will stay on display in the Priory for the rest of the month. Stuart Pollitt, BBC North West Tonight, Lancaster.
Very striking, aren't they? Right, let's move straight on to sport. Richard is here.
No, Rog.
Hi, it's advantage Liverpool in the Premier League title race. Manchester City not playing this weekend.
Yeah.
5 points clear.
Yes, City have a game in hand on Jurgen Klopp's men, who, as you say, extended their lead at the top, though, to 5 points after what in the end was a very convincing victory 4-0 against Bournemouth. This without key players as well, the likes of Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. 2 goals apiece. On Saturday, Blackburn Rovers were hoping to end a worrying run that had seen them drop to 18th in the table. After a playoff push last season, manager Jon Dahl Tomasson has been frustrated by both results and reduced transfer funds from the club's owners, Venky's. His side welcomes struggling Huddersfield to Ewood Park, and Ian Hassan.
Yes, it was a cold, damp Saturday afternoon in East Lancashire, and yes, Blackburn Rovers have been on a bad run. But would a potentially winnable home match provide optimism to doubters among the home support?
It's embarrassing to watch. Like, I hope they do better today.
You know, we've been to every single game. You're suffering.
True, Ewood Park's not seen much joy lately.
They've already lost more games than they lost in the whole of last season at home, so that's a problem already.
Jon Dahl's been sticking to a system that he sees tried and trusted, gaining a lot of possession and keeping possession, but the problem that we have is we're the worst defensive team in the league, and that's got to get better.
And there are many here confident it will.
We're in the doldrums, but we can always, the only way is up.
I feel like we were never going to get promoted this year anyway, so it's about building upon what we've got, because I feel the style of football we play is fantastic. I think if the Venky's actually invested more into players, we'd be a good team.
Yeah, there's still time. Yeah, I think we'll turn it around. 3 or 4 wins in this league, and then you find yourself 7th, 8th, and then a big push towards the end of the season.
So here come the teams. Blackburn Rovers have only won 1 championship fixture since the start of December. One of the defeats they suffered last month was against today's opponents, Huddersfield. But when North West United are at one of our team's grounds, they rarely lose, apart from Crewe and Accrington this season.
Rovers got off to a good start.
For the seconds, that's a terrible ball from Hogg. Here's Adam Wharton for 1-0. Great finish from Adam Wharton.
But within 20 minutes, Huddersfield had levelled from a set-piece and the early momentum was lost. Rovers did have a decent shout for a penalty, but went in level at half-time, at which point the club paid tribute to its community staff, volunteers and participants as part of EFL Community Weekend.
Football just opens up the doors and different avenues to people. We work within a local community. Roughly around 50,000 participants throughout the year, over 40 to 50 projects.
Blackburn's project as the second half opened was keeping Huddersfield from scoring, which they managed to do, but despite their own good periods of pressure, just couldn't find a goal, and so it ended in a draw.
Jan, first of all, your reaction to today's game?
We started quite bright the first 50 minutes and scored an excellent goal, and we conceded on a set plays. In the second half, I thought we dominated the game. Did a lot of really good things until the final 18 yards. I think credit to the lads if you look at all the setbacks during the game. Great to hear the fans are behind the team as well. And at the end of the day, when you can't win it, it's important not to lose the game.
Are we going to see any incomings player-wise in January?
We need players. I'm never complaining about the players we have in the building because they're great lads, but I'm always complaining about the players we don't have.
Next up for Rovers, the Hollywood Glitz of Wrexham in the FA Cup at Ewood next Monday. Ian Haslam, BBC North West Tonight.
Best of luck to Rovers for the season. Also in the Championship, a bit of a heartbreaking last gasp defeat, 2-1 to Leeds for Preston North End. In the Women's Super League, Manchester City's push for the title is gathering pace after a dominant 5-1 victory over Liverpool. Khadija Shaw with a hat-trick for City. The Blues are just 3 points behind the leaders Chelsea, who beat Manchester United 3-1. Everton lost 2-1 at Arsenal on Saturday. Hard luck to Sale Sharks, beaten 37-24 by La Rochelle. So they're out of the Champions Cup, dropped down into the Challenge Cup. They fought hard, though.
Fantastic. Rich, thank you very much indeed. Right, weather with Kay in just a minute. If you were watching last week, you'll know we talked about exotic pets and the increased numbers which were turning up at a rescue centre in Congleton. Well, Karen Furness lives in Stockport. She doesn't run a rescue centre, so she was somewhat surprised, probably shocked and maybe just a little bit terrified when an unexpected visitor turned up today. She told Juliet Phillips what happened.
Came down to walk the dogs and turn the light on, and there was this thing at the top of the window up here, and didn't know what it was really. Thought it was a piece of material, but then it was a snake, so a bit scary. So rang the police, who came round, and then yeah, they were a bit nervous about coming in too. Everybody's been a bit nervous about it all, so yeah, that's.
And where is it now? You've been trying to tempt it out, haven't you, so that it can be captured and kind of rescued?
Yeah, I put it on our local Facebook page, and lots of people have been round to try and help. A lady came round with her children after school, and she was going to catch it, and she brought a joiner to knock some wood away from the door, and so everybody's been really lovely. But yeah, it's still in here somewhere, and we haven't located it yet.
And it went through a hole, is that right? Where is it?
Yeah, there's at the top of the ledge here, there's a little hole, and it's in there apparently, or somewhere in here. Some people think it's in the brickwork now, and but yeah, no idea.
And Karen, what are you going to do next? Because I feel like if I was in your position, I wouldn't be able to get to sleep tonight knowing there's a huge snake roaming around my house.
Me too, I'm a bit... I think I'm going to book an Airbnb tonight because I don't really want to stay here. But then, when is it going to surface? It might have been doing that every night for a long time. I don't know. Coming into the heat.
Oh gosh, well Karen, best of luck. We hope you manage to capture it.
It's a bit unnerving.
Yeah, of course, we hope you manage to capture it. That's about all we've got time for here in Stockport. And let's face it, this is a bit of a slippery situation. Back to you.
Well done, Juliet. The Amphibian and Reptile Conservation Trust, we showed them a picture of the snake. They said it's corn snake, it's not dangerous, but if you live in Heaton, Mersey, get in touch with Karen. She really doesn't want it hanging around. Right, weather. Kay, how's it looking?
A lot of weather. A stormy start to the week. Storm Isha has cleared. Another storm on the way. More on that in a minute. Just look at little Teddy trying to hide his face from the storm. He's getting all the sand in his face. Steve sent that picture in Crosby, and it's here where we actually got 66 mile per hour wind gusts today. Not the highest. That was Shap, 82 miles per hour. And while another storm is on the way, Jocelyn, this storm won't be as windy. We're expecting winds peaking tomorrow night at around about midnight to be about 50 to 65 miles per hour. We're all in a yellow warning for the wind, but parts of Cumbria and Lancashire are under a warning for the rain. And you can see here on the pressure chart that storm pushing its way through. So some heavy downpours of rain, especially for more northern parts, and the winds as it clears through, that's when they're really going to pep up. Now, it's still gusty out and about at the minute for coastal parts. We're talking 50 miles per hour. But as we go overnight tonight, a little ridge of high pressure bills. It'll clear off the showers and the winds will ease a little bit. Temperatures down to between about 5 and 8 degrees, so there won't be a frost. Look further out to the west and you can start to see that front coming through. As the cloud increases through the morning, the rain starts to pile in. Like I said, heaviest for Pennine areas. It's here we are expecting about 40 to 60 millimetres of rainfall. Elsewhere, it will turn showery in nature into the afternoon. Some of those are likely to be heavy. And although into the afternoon we're gusting about 40 miles per hour, it's more towards midnight when those wind speeds really will strengthen. Temperatures tomorrow, I mean, look at that, 15 degrees in Chester for this time of year. It is abnormal for this time of year. Taking a quick look further ahead, it'll be a fairly pleasant day on Wednesday, a drier, calmer day, but then it's going to turn cloudy, damp with stronger winds for Thursday.
Neil, with a pun which even I might balk at on email, has asked, with all these storms coming across the Atlantic, are they jostling for position?
It's such a dad joke.
It's terrible, isn't it? Neil, I won't give your second name out.
Kathleen is next.
Kathleen?
Not that I'm expecting... No, I don't,
how do we know? Do they name them even before they come?
You can all put your names forward for the
Can you?
next season ahead, so get in touch with the Met Office website and you can find out.
Storm K. Why haven't they called it Storm K?
Why?
Why not?
Put a complaint in.
Thank you for watching. Have a great night.
Take care.
Good night.